Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to tackle the PTO valve for the 1855. It's pretty much the same thing. There are some variations, but as far as like 1755, 1955, 2105 white, 285 white. And one of the big things you'll notice externally is this one has an adjusting screw, and early ones do not, and they use shims inside. But this is for the feel of it locking in. You can adjust that. Something else that can be a problem, guys will be like, it won't stay locked in, and there can be a few problems on that, but one of them can be this roll pin here either shears off or just gets worn, and you can't get a, there's also another roll pin on the end of the arm there, and that can get worn or loose, and you don't get enough throw with your lever. And well, you do get enough throw. Your lever is limited by the slot, and but because of all that slop, you can't get enough motion to get the spool up to where it will lock in for PTO function. And you'll notice it goes back down. The natural position for these is when you shut the tractor off, it goes back to the brake position as a safety thing. So you need to have hydraulic pressure for it to stay on. So let's get tearing it apart. I don't know if there's anything wrong with this. You know, 1855 was a non-runner when I got it, but might as well tear it apart, put some new seals in it just to be safe. We can see what the guts look like. There it goes. The Sinner's wrench, the crescent wrench. There should be an O-ring right there. That seals this. We'll change that while we're at it. And then I think we just need to come at it from the top now. There's the roll pin. This one's been double roll pin. It's also drooling on my floor. There's a hole underneath. You might think that's for drainage, and I suppose that's not a bad idea, but it also lets the roll pin drive on through. So we will do that. Let's see if this is gonna wander on me. Maybe I'll clamp it a different way. I don't need to mar up that surface, although it's sealed by O-rings. Ow. Wasn't so bad. I'll put a new O-ring, a new snap. This thing, a roll pin, and like I say, it's doubled up. You can sometimes do that. You drive your bigger one in, and then you can drive a smaller one in the middle. Makes it less likely to break off. Then we can just pull the lever, pull this out. Last I knew, I can look when I edit this video up, but this was actually still available from AGCO. And of course the spool went sliding out the bottom once I had that all out. So I should have left the cap on. There she is. I do believe there's a O-ring on the inside of that somewhere, but there's one in the housing on the top here. There's a groove cut in to seal it for the shaft, so we'll get that out. Depending on the age, there's could be different sizes of these O-rings. This one has the same size for these two. Trying to remember what that part is. Might have to look in the book. I know I've kind of shied away from that in other videos. I bet it does something. It does come out though. It's got an O-ring on it. Not too bad. I say if you have the non-screw type, then there is going to be shims in here that you can change the feel of it. But I don't think we'll take this apart. Why tempt fate? Just clean it up. Yeah, right in here. That's where the detent kicks in and out. That's probably what this is for. No? Yeah? No? Yeah, there's the ball. Okay. It's all coming back to me now. So it's a good thing I didn't lose that. But there's your ball. This is in there, but the ball's underneath it. So hydraulic pressure forces that down when it's running to act as a detent to keep the spool wherever you put it. But once you shut the tractor off, then the spring pressure is enough it can kick that ball out and push that plunger back up. So that's what that is. I just get it out with, so it does have an O-ring on it just to keep it from leaking. But pick out this inner one and should be able to go clean it up. There it is. I had all the O-rings picked for this, but that was like last year or something, so I've probably, hidden them from myself like I usually do. Oh, no, here's my homemade kit that I looked everything up. This should be the O-ring, the big O-ring for there. It doesn't look as thick as what's on there though. And then I'm trying to remember this screw. Oh, there's a plunger in there. I bet there's an O-ring on that. Here, I can hear it sucking out. Are you all remembering how this goes together? I'm wondering if there's an O-ring on this. I should probably just leave it alone because it's adjusted right. And I could always get it from the outside. But then I break paint if it's getting painted and leaks and stuff. Oh, there's a sealing washer to seal it up. Or maybe that's supposed to be an O-ring. It was an O-ring. We're gonna put one back in there. It might have been a special washer. I guess I better double check the parts book on that. All right, I think we're to where I can get all these parts washed. But if you are having trouble, things to watch out for are broken springs, popped off snap rings. They're a pretty reliable unit, but I guess nothing's bulletproof. All right, we want to get the new O-ring in the top here, which may be a challenge. Where's my O-ring pick? Well, the sun is shining, even though it's down in the teens this morning. The sandhill cranes are still out there cackling up a storm. Not sure if you can hear them in the background. A little nudge. There she goes. And a little bit of grease on it just to make sure the spool slides by it without any grief. No broken springs, nothing crazy here, so I'm not going to disassemble the spool any farther. I've already had enough spring action fighting with springs. So there's that. I got that past the O-ring. Get a new O-ring on this baby. Some more grease just to ease it on in. And we need this dime-sized washer flat piece that goes down in there. This spacer. And then, yeah, I'm not forgetting anything there. I don't have the bolt in it yet, but that can be done. Thread her on in. Send her on home. Since it's sealed with an O-ring, it doesn't have to be cranked down super tight. Just a little bit to snug it up so it don't come loose. Oh, what to do next? Now that the spool is in, we could put the ball in the plunger. I do remember the little tip was sticking out. I'm thinking so you can grab it with some needle nose or something, but what the heck? We'll get that in there. Like I said, this is a pretty simple unit. Overall, it does not control pressure. That is controlled in the valves that are just down below the hydraulic pump on the lower left side of the transmission. And so if you're not, let's see, is that the same? No, it's not. But if you're not getting good pressure, or if you feel like you're not getting good pressure, pressure goes in the bottom port. And then the top port is just for when you shut off the PTO or turn off the brake. That piston returning has oil that's got to go somewhere. So this one goes back to the reservoir. And then this one's pressure. So you can cap the pressure line off. It's a closed center hydraulic system. So the oil can be deadheaded. And it's an inverted flare. So you could cap it off if you're worried about your PTO unit and you want to diagnose it. Go to your Napa store or whatever, get the right fittings to cap that line off and then run your tractor. And if your hydraulic oil stops going down, then you're losing it through your PTO somewhere, which is usually what's happening. You can also just put a pressure gauge on that line without hooked up to this unit and see what kind of pressure it generates. And then I think it's supposed to be around 180 psi. And that will tell you, you know, if you're got a pressure problem, but that ain't in here, it's coming from another part of the tractor. So overall, like I say, short of a spring break-in or, you know, these roll pin on this arm or something like that, they're pretty reliable. So let's match this up to something in my O-ring kit. Let's see. No, that's a... No. No. I think it's about the same. What do you guys think? This one could be a little stretched from being on there for years. It fits good. Sticks out past the edge a little bit. I think that's requirements for an O-ring. What's the worst that could happen? It'll squirt oil all over the first time I start it. Let's see. Okay, let's drop the detent ball down in there. A little more grease. That popped in there. That should seal. Okay. And I grabbed a couple of the small ones. Thought I grabbed a couple of big ones. I think that's one I took out. All right, be that way. Back to the O-ring kit. kit goes up to the next thickness after that. Oh, I probably got something up front. Or is this it? No. 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 Stuff for the brake valve. Nope. 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 Well, now I've done it. Okay, I'm gonna put a little grease on these to hold the O-rings in when I'm installing it. And I will have to go look for the right size O-ring for this hole. Got the old one, but it is kind of flattened out, and thought these were it, but they're not. So I must have grabbed the wrong O-rings or something. I have to order some. We'll see. All right, but I can get this back in there. Probably ought to find a roll pin for it, or two. This arm goes in like this. Then we need this one in there. I guess when I go grab lunch, I'll try to find that other O-ring for when we bolt it on. And then the lever goes in. Then we gotta get the inner lever up to where the outer lever can go through it. There we go. And once again, it's a matter of driving roll pins and getting them in where they should be. All right, we're gonna get it started. It's gonna move. And then I'm going to drop it because I don't want to smash my fingers. There, got it started. From there, it's just, a guessing game to where the hole really is. So we're right in there. Pretty close. There we go. I want that lever facing, slightly downward as it pulls up on it. Let's see what we can do finding an O-ring. Let's see how this one fares. Like I say, there is that seal that's built into that washer. I can tell that. Hey, if I can get this to go in there too. Who am I to fight a little extra sealing? I broke the jam nut free and then turned it all out as an assembly. Try to keep the adjustment the same. I guess it ain't that hard to adjust. Might need something a little thinner than a... Maybe that'll be an embarrassment down the road that I put that O-ring in there. And maybe not. But it's in. We're gonna try it. So that's pretty straightforward. Just got to find that O-ring. Then we can bolt it on to the PTO unit. Well, I had the necessary O-ring on hand. So that's all three O-rings there. So let's get this baby mounted. Some of the stuff you can do while it's still on the tractor. You know, this link here or whatever, you don't have to pull it off for. You could pull the cap off the bottom and probably get the spool out. But for that plunger, for the detent on the back, you're gonna have to pull it off for that. It is ready for service. And hopefully it might help you out if you're working on one or just wanted to see one tore apart. In the meantime, I appreciate everybody watching, and we will see you in the next one.